Have your attention, please. Tony Stewart has joined us here, and Tony is our defending NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. He's also the defending champion of this race. He drives the number 14 Office Depot Mobile One Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. He comes in here as the third seed. He's got 3 wins on the season, and Tony, kind of starting where we were a year ago, this is where it all started for you. Talk about coming to Chicagoland Speedway and your thoughts now as you get ready to defend your title.
It's definitely exciting. Obviously, you know, it hasn't been that long ago. I mean, obviously 365 days ago, it you know, was where it started, like you mentioned, but you know, it seems like yesterday almost. But it's nice to be back. I mean, glad we got the rain we got last night, so it's gone today, and you know, our first practice went really well. So we're just take it a day at a time still, like we did last year, and see if we can get similar results.
Excellent. We'll take some questions now for Tony. We'll start here with this gentleman here. Raise your hand. Try to limit it to 1 question per person, and we'll go to Marty. Go ahead.
Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. Tony, you've won 2 titles in the chase 2 different ways. 2005, you didn't win a race and you still won the championship. Last year, you won 5 of 10 races. Is there an approach that you think now that you have to take, or you just kind of let things fall as they may?
I think I mean, it's such a guess. I mean, there isn't really a set way of doing anything anymore. I mean, I think probably the one thing that everybody's probably more focused on after last year is the fact that every single point's going to be a big deal. So, you know, whether it's, you know, leading a lap to get a point, and, you know, if you might stay on a caution just to lead a lap, and if you're not running well, you might, you know, if you get in a crash, you're going to get that thing fixed, and you're going to fight for every spot you can get just to get that 1 extra point. So we all know what the value of it is, but as far as the approach each week, you do the same thing the last 10 weeks that you do the first 26 weeks that get you here.
Go to Marty, and then we'll go to Monty. Go ahead, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Tony, I asked Earnhardt earlier to describe what you did last year, and he said fascinating. How do you describe what you did last fall?
I mean, it was a cool run. I mean, the hard part though is that was a year ago. I got to worry about what I got to do it again this year. It's you know, I can't spend that much time thinking about what we did last year. I mean, that's why we did all the stuff at the end of the year to talk about what we did last year. I mean, it was an awesome run, obviously. I mean, but it's not something that I would have lost everything. I would have lost my house, everything, because I would have bet totally against what happened. I didn't have the confidence that was even feasible for our team. So it just shows you can sit here today and feel confident and it not work, or you can, you know, be feeling like you're going to run dead last and win 5 races. You just don't know.
Over here to the left, Monty. Go ahead.
Monty Dutton, Gaston is it. Tony, it might be a mystery to you, but you probably know more about the chase than anyone. You're the only guy who's won it before the chase and in it. You're the only guy who's won it without winning a single race, and you're the guy who's won it with the most races. You haven't won 5 in a row, but all of that having been said, you beat a guy by a tiebreaker who was consistent, and you won half the races. Do you think that the chase could be won winless like you did in 05 and like Edwards almost did? Or do you think it has changed so much that a win is absolutely necessary?
I don't know how you could predict it. I mean, how do you honestly and accurately predict that? I mean, you just said it yourself. It's been won so many different ways. You answered your own question. I mean, there is no formula, and there is no right or wrong answer. I mean, it all depends on what the 11 other guys that you're racing with do each week. I mean, it strictly is dictated by that. I mean, there isn't a set formula, guys. I mean, it's not. There's no blueprint. There's no certain way of doing it. It's just who can put together the 10 best weeks. And there's no set way of doing it. It just, there is no logical answer, I guess, Monty. To my point, there is no answer. I mean, there's anybody that plays in the World Series of Poker can't tell you how many hands you have to win to win the tournament. I mean, you got to play it 1 week at a time.
Other questions? Right over here, Graham. and Claire. To your far right, Tony.
Tony, whilst NASCAR might be difficult to predict, could you tell me who's going to win the Formula One Drivers' Championship?
If I could do that, Bud, I'd be sitting on my ass in a leather chair in Las Vegas, and I wouldn't be sitting here in the media center in Chicago. I'd be making a lot more money sitting in the air conditioning, getting free drinks from cocktail waitresses that are hot. So no, I can't do that. I wish I had that ability. I wish I could do that with all forms of auto racing, but I can't, unfortunately. That's what makes this sport cool, is because it's really hard to predict.
Straight back, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. So let's just focus on Chicagoland. What about this track and the grooves and the bumps and its aging? And what do you think about the track and what you face this weekend in this race?
That first hour and a half, I mean, everybody started on the bottom, and it didn't take long to where we were using the entire racetrack in 3 and 4, and I think they're 2/3 to 3/4 of the way up in 1 and 2. So that's what's fun about this track, is it'll move around, and you might move to a certain spot at the beginning of a run, you might move to another spot for the middle of the run, and you may stay there at the end of the run, or you may move back down to another spot. So it's kind of fun because you got the seams you can play with. You can stay in a particular lane, and depending on how your car's driving, you have that ability as a driver to move around and help yourself out, and that makes it fun for us. I mean, it's this place is so fast and so round and momentum driven. I mean, there is literally no straightaway on this racetrack. There's not a straight part on it. So you're constantly trying to get yourself in clean air. But the good thing is this track is wide enough groove wise that you can do that, and you can move around and find that spot.
Go ahead, Nate, and then Jeff, and then John.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Tony, Roush Fenway was in here this morning and made some announcements about Stenhouse for next year. And the good news is they have more sponsors, but maybe the downside is he's going to be representing like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 primaries next year. I know your team has dealt with that with Ryan, and I think it sounds as if next year you'll go from co-primaries to maybe even 3 companies you're representing. What's that like from a driver's perspective for somebody who used to have a Home Depot for 36 races a year? Is it more difficult when you've got to represent so many brands? And is it, I know it's a big picture question, but is it better for NASCAR maybe to have that continuity that you had once with Home Depot and now probably won't have as much next year?
I don't know if it's better for NASCAR. I mean, they would have a lot better idea from that standpoint. But the standpoint I know is that it is a lot more work, but it sure beats the alternative of not having a car sold for the whole season. I mean, as long as you got something on there every week, and it's helping, fund the program and let you do what you need to do and create the resources that you need to have. It's, it's a little more work, but like I say, it sure beats the alternative right now. How are things? We're working like normal.
Let's go Jeff. We'll go John, and then Bob.
You might have already answered this with Nate's follow-up there, but Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com, Lee wrote that you're going to have Bass Pro Shops possibly replace
Lee
Office
who?
Depot. Spencer.
Oh, you actually read her stuff?
She's good.
Okay.
Well, anyway, can you confirm or deny that or comment on that?
I never comment on anything Lee writes. So
Okay.
I've made a pretty good habit of that in the last couple of years. So.
Let's go to John. John, and then Bob.
Tony John Reyes, Reyes Broadcasting in Chicago. We hear so much about Tony Stewart won this race and fell into a groove. You've heard that all year. Is winning this race a mental advantage to you or any driver out here? Just winning this first race.
Well, I think it definitely gets you off to a good start. I mean, I think it's, it helps for sure. I mean, it sets the tone, but I mean, there's, last year we won here, we went to Loudon and won, and then we went to Dover and we ran 24th. And so it's it's not something that fixes things that are wrong, but it's always nice to get off to a good start. And if you crash in this race and you run 40th, I mean, you feel like you're climbing Mount Everest after that. I mean, and you know very well that everybody could have a bad race, but if you start off with a bad race here, it really makes you feel like it's going to be a long road to recover from. And if you have a good race, you're just one step closer to your goal. So, I wouldn't say it gives you that invincible feeling that just because you win here, you're going to win the championship. But it's just nice to leave here with a little bit of momentum going into, knowing that you got 9 more of them to go. It's nice leaving here with some momentum on your side.
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. I was going to ask if you could predict who your sponsor would be to replace Office Depot, but I don't know whether I should now. This is one of the last weekends where you have Saturday qualifying. I was curious, do you have a preference on what the schedule is on race weekend, and how is it different preparing for Saturday qualifying, having no practice after qualifying, compared to most weeks where you'll have Friday qualifying and then practice Saturday?
I like this schedule. I mean, I think it goes both ways. I think the teams liked it the other way. I think some of the drivers liked it the other way. I like it this way. I like getting all the practice done and having it done by 5 o'clock on Friday, and then all we got to do tomorrow is qualify, and at least gives you a day if you want to go to downtown Chicago and enjoy an afternoon. You have the ability to do that. If you want to go run a dirt sprint car somewhere, you can go do that too. So I like it from that standpoint. I don't guess it's really a big drama either way, but I kind of like it this way, I guess.
Over here far left to Stan.
Hey, Tony, Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. So I just got asked, do you have a sprint car race, a sprint race you're going to run tomorrow night?
I don't have one tomorrow night, unfortunately. I haven't had one for a couple weeks now. So, but I've got 3 to 4 scheduled for the rest of the year. So we're still not done yet.
Time for one more. Anybody else for Tony? Lee.
Oh God. Why did you have to say one more?
I don't know.
Why is it always got to be
your
one more?
worst nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Talked to Kyle Larson the other night. He said you're putting him in a sprint car at Eldora in a couple of weeks. Can you just talk about how much potential this kid has, and what prompted this?
I went to the Four Crown last year, and I'd heard about Kyle, but I hadn't seen him very much. And I went back, and Loudon's kind of a long hike to get back from Loudon to Eldora, and I missed qualifying and had to start at the back of the heat races, and the back of the semi didn't make the feature. So, but went back the next night and watched the Four Crown and watched Kyle drive for 3 different teams, and win all 3 divisions, and he'd never been to Eldora before, and it was just something that it caught the whole open wheel, the whole open wheel crowd by storm, and so this year I didn't know if he had a ride for the sprint car portion of it with the Outlaws on Friday, and I thought since I probably won't be able to get back, I hardly ever I never put anybody in my car other than Donnie Schatz or Steve. So, but I thought it would be a cool opportunity because last year I wished I would have let him drive it on Friday and see if he could have won all 4 divisions. So that's how it actually started. He's going to drive our Silver Crown car Saturday night. He's got a midget and sprint car ride for Saturday night with the USAC portion, but the way the K&N schedule worked out, he's not going to be able to get back on Friday night. So he's still only going to get to run 3 of the 4 divisions. But we had Levi Jones that had to have surgery on his neck, and he's out for the rest of the year. So we got Chris Wyndham to drive the USAC sprint car the rest of the year, and then it gave us an opportunity to get Kyle in the Silver Crown car there. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have him in one of our cars finally, and I've spent some time with the kid. I really like him. I think he's going to be really, really good.
He's impressive, young person, really is.
Definitely.
Okay, Tony, thank you for coming in here, and good luck this weekend. Good luck defending your championship.
Thank you.
Thank you.